The Master and the Apprentice, a story from Italy. You'd probably like to hear a story about magic, wouldn't you? Naturally, magic is the most fantastic thing in all the world. There are so many people who don't believe in magic, but that's usually because they're too grown up. They think they know something about the world. They've forgotten that everything around us is actually magic. Don't believe me? Think about the way sunlight turns into rainbows. That's pretty magical. Think about the way our plates and bowls and coffee cups are made of wet clay and fire. Very magical. Or the way that all the windows in our cars and houses are made of melted sand. And think about the most powerful magic of all, words and numbers. If you know all the letters of the alphabet and the numbers from 1 to 9, you can use them in a million different ways nobody ever thought of before. You could invent machines with them, make people cry and laugh with them. You can even change the world with your little letters and numbers. All of this is magical. Everything ordinary is magical, but grown-ups usually forget. You're probably thinking that's not real magic. You probably want to hear a story about wizards, about people who can change shapes, make fire and lightning come out of their hands, turn invisible or fly. Well, those things are magical too. I'll tell you a story about that kind of magic, but only if you promise to remember that the really powerful magicians are always the people who know that ordinary things are the most magical things of all. And the books contain all the magical secrets in the world. There is in a great sparkling ocean far, far away, an island called Sicily. Sicily is a hot, dry place with lots of olive trees and deserts. The buildings are made of dusty yellow bricks, and they all have red clay rooftops. There are palm trees that shade the towns, and fields full of grapes and tomato plants. Back in the old days in Sicily, there was a widow who had a son named Dionigi. Dionigi was a very clever boy. When he was young, the neighbours pitied him for being so poor, and so they sent him to a good school where he learned to read, write and do mathematics. Dionigi and his mother lived in a brick cottage at the edge of the village and owned absolutely nothing. They depended on charity to survive, and Dionigi had no job. Finally, one day, the old widow got so tired of supporting her useless son, so she forced him to leave. "Get out," she said, "go make your fortune." So Dionigi went all over looking for an apprenticeship. He wanted to learn a trade. Dionigi went to the butcher, the blacksmith, the jeweller, the glassmaker and the tailor, asked if he could become their apprentice. None of them were impressed with Dionigi. They shut the door in his face every time. The boy was so depressed, he sat down on a stoop and cried. Evening was setting, and a lone old man was coming up the road. He wore a white robe and a broad black hat and carried the bag of a surgeon. At once Dionigi wiped his eyes. "Signor," he called, "Signor." The old man stopped.